Everyone. So last night was not the way we wanted to see the Lakers start the season, right? It was really rough. Guys weren't making shots, all of those things. But what I want to talk about is looking at other teams this season, right? Now, obviously, many people want to see a Lakers trade. Lakers are exploring trades, right? We got the reports that Rob Pelinka, once the season began, which it's began, that he was going to start exploring other trades, looking into trying to find a deal, right? The Pacers deal many people want, but it's not worth both firsts, and I don't think it's going to make us much better. I mean, based on the performance we had last night, Buddy Hield and Miles Turner is not going to save the day. Could it make us better in general? Possibly, but I think our biggest issue is just wing defense, as well as just putting the ball in the hoop outside of our big three. Now, beyond that, there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to purposely be trying to tank for Victor Wembanyama and even Scoot Henderson, right? And there's many other players that this draft is supposed to be very deep. One of the deeper drafts we've had in a very long time. Some people believe that it might be the deepest we've ever had, which is crazy because we had the draft with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, guys like that. But nonetheless, regardless, at the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of teams that are going to be bad purposely, right? Spurs, even OKC without Chet, and their schedule, they're opening their first 10 games is insane. I think they have the toughest opening schedule in the league, so that's gonna be pretty interesting. But a lot of these teams, even some of these mid-tier teams like the Chicago Bulls, teams like that are going to be, maybe even like the Blazers, right? A team that's supposed to be good, but it ends up underperforming or isn't very good. We need to be keeping an eye on these teams and kind of rooting for them to lose, right? Or win. I'm sorry, root for them to win. Because, for example, if the Pacers start winning games, let's say the Pacers start the season 3-0 or 4-0 or something like that, that could cause some concern for panic because they're a team that wants to tank. They're losing Miles Turner after this season, right? Buddy Hield, yeah, they got 2 more years of him, but ideally they want to tank. Ideally, if you could get, Victor Wembanyama to pair with, Tyrese Halliburton, come on. There you go. There's your future. You got those two for the next 10 plus years. You're going to be a really good team. So you're going to see a lot of teams that are wanting to tank. The Spurs, I think, might be another one, right? Let's say the Spurs start 3-0 or something like that. That may cause panic. That may cause them to go, you know what? Hey, let's unload some of these guys. If Richardson puts up 30 and helps them win a game, or Portal or however you say his name, if he ends up, people always make fun of me for the way I say his names, but nonetheless, let's say that he's great. He's he puts up 25 and 10, and they just go out and they win their first handful of games. You could see them going, nope, we didn't trade Murray and just blow this team up to end up winning a bunch of games. Utah, teams like this, you may be able to start working out deals or even 3-team deals, stuff like that, to kind of help teams tank, and then where we kind of pick up the quality pieces. I also think not just the Lakers, but teams in general are really going to have fire sales and are really going to capitalize. There's going to be a lot of contending teams that might get some solid rotation guys that just are really going to help their squad because teams are going to want to tank for Victor, especially come the trade deadline. I think there's going to be all kinds of trades. I don't think the Lakers are going to have any shortage of trade partners as the season progresses. Not just that, but Russell Westbrook, his contract becomes more valuable as the season progresses. We also have more guys that become available as the season progresses. Let's say Patrick Beverley just isn't working. He's a $12 million contract. He is at a reasonable salary to where we could get maybe a solid, 3-and-D wing type player. Because also you got to take into account, the 125% rule. So we could get somebody that is a little bit more than him. We could get somebody that's up to I believe 15, 16 million. So that just opens the door so much more, right? Say Damian Jones and guys like that, if they're not really performing or looking good, they're guys that we could add on if we're $1 million short to match a salary or something like that. Or we could package, 3 guys together to try to get something done. Walker, if Walker's not working out. You could trade him. He's got $6 million. Package him and a couple other pieces, and maybe go get a $10 million player. Russell Westbrook. Maybe you can work out a 2 or 3 team deal. My point is that the Lakers are going to continue to have options, and Russ only becomes more valuable because his contract only gets cheaper as the season goes on, right? So now teams don't have to pay $47 million come the trade deadline. They have to pay $25 million, or something along those lines, right? So now teams go, okay, well, now it's more enticing. Now it's like, okay, well, we don't have to pay his full salary. We can unload some of these guys. We can continue to tank. You even get a team like, the Bulls have been thrown around a lot, right? The Chicago Bulls, what if they're terrible? I mean, they were a 6 seed last year, and you have the Atlanta Hawks, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have all gotten better. So Chicago could be looking at a 9 or 10th seed in the East and going, you know what, maybe we just embrace the take. Maybe we just say that's it. Maybe Portland. If their pick is owed to Chicago, but it's top 14 protected. So if they're if they're the 12th seed or something like that in the West, maybe they look at it as hey, let's unload Jeremy Grant, guys like that. I don't think they'll get rid of Damian Lillard, but maybe they're looking at hey, maybe we can unload some of these guys, Josh Hart, and end up going in and tanking for Victor. Maybe we get Victor, and even if we don't get Victor, maybe we get Scoot, right? So now you got Sharp, and you got you got Simon, and you got Damian Lillard, and you got, let's say, Scoot, or you end up getting Victor. There you go. Maybe the Lakers could end up landing on Nurkic, right? What if they could get Jeremy Grant, Nurkic, and Josh Hart, come trade deadline? I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying it will happen, but there you go. Maybe you get a solid center that can spread the floor, pass the ball. You can run your offense through them. You get 2, 3, and D guys. I'm just saying that there's options out there that really help and really open up. So as the season starts today, we really need to start looking at some of these mid-tier teams as well as, the tanking teams, and kind of root for them to win. There's always going to be that team that no one expects to be good that turns out to be good, right? Like the Cavs last year, really, nobody saw that coming, right? And they were just really good. You have teams that also are projected to be good and end up being really bad. They just can't win games. Maybe a team like Atlanta. I'm not saying that they will be bad, but, they're projected to be pretty good. They made a good, solid move. They had a good, solid offseason. What if they end up having a bad season or all right, let's unload some of these guys. Let's unload Collins, things like that. I'm not saying the Lakers could get in on it, but maybe. You never know. Or maybe they could work out a 3-team deal to where they get the pieces. Where Atlanta just kind of moves off him, gets some assets, maybe tweaks a few things, and then we get some of the other assets from another team, stuff like that. I just think that there's a lot of possibilities that are going to open up this season that wouldn't be the case otherwise if Victor didn't have the showing that he did here in Vegas. He had an incredible showing. Him and Scoot really look like game-changing franchise guys that if you draft, that's it. You're set for the next 10-plus years. And a lot of teams are going to be trying to get those two, especially Victor. And you're going to see a lot of teams that are going to purposely probably fleece themselves in a deal that wouldn't do certain deals otherwise, right? You might get a team or two that just says, hey, usually we wouldn't trade this guy, but you know what? Let's do it. Like a team like the Pacers. I've seen a couple trades that have just been floated out by, the anonymous GMs or whatever, take that as you may. But, a lot of them will talk about, Chris Dort, right? Him moving. And Pacer fans are like, no way. There's no way they give up Chris. He's a star. He's this. Everyone thinks their role guy is the next Michael Jordan. And I get it. But, if you could get Victor, I guarantee you the Indiana Pacers would trade whoever it took. The Indiana Pacers would trade everybody except for Halliburton. Anybody. I believe the Indiana, if they could guarantee Victor, they would say, here you go, take the entire team. We'll take guys in the front row. Hey, congratulations. You bought courtside seats. You get to play in the game today because we just traded our whole team. They would do whatever it took if they could. If there weren't rules to tanking, And like there weren't like percentages to tanking, right? Like teams, like even the worst team in the league only has like a 14.5% chance, right? If there wasn't that, if it was just like the worst team gets the number one pick, I mean, the type of tanking you would see, the type of excuses you would see would be unprecedented, right? Because Victor might be the greatest prospect we have ever seen over Wilt, Kareem, LeBron James, like you name it. He might be the best prospect there has ever been. And to think teams aren't going to do whatever it takes to get that guy, there are GMs that released a breakdown of just Victor's value, not even counting if he becomes a superstar or not. Just drafting him is the equivalent of $500 million. $500 million a team essentially gets by drafting Victor, just from a business sense, right? Because you got to remember, NBA, these teams, they're still a business. Even from a business sense, you're talking $500 million. That's the Golden State Warriors tax bill next season if they max out everybody. So you're talking about a lot. Teams, like there was another report from GMs throughout the league that said that they would take Victor even if he broke both his legs this offseason, that they would still draft him. Like even if he broke both his legs, because he's that transcending of a player. And just the chance of him coming in, because again, it's the money, it's the value, it's everything. So my point is that I really think the Lakers need to continue to be patient. And if a quality deal comes along. But we need to start rooting for like the Pacers and and like the Spurs and like teams that you like that have assets that we could get. You need to start rooting for them to win. We need them to win and win a bunch of games. And like teams like the Bulls and I don't know, mid-tier teams, take your pick. Teams like that, we need to hope for them to start losing, so that way they go, okay, like we need to rebuild. We need to maybe we get lucky. Maybe if we lose enough games, we get lucky and get like a 10% chance at victor, something like that. But anyway, as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between. Love to hear them. See you all in the next one.